I will show you how to use two functions, index and match, to do powerful lookups in Microsoft Excel. And here's the sample spreadsheet we are going to use for this video. If you want to download it and follow along, you can find it in the description below this video. And what we have here is a record of sales for a hypothetical media business that sells these things. And they've been tracking each month how much they've sold in each product category index. So what I'd like to be able to do is go over here on the right next to product category to be able to type in, let's say, DVDs and the month of, let's say, June, and then be able to see the total sales of DVDs for the month of June. So how can we accomplish this? Well, using index and match is one of the best ways to accomplish that. Let's start by trying to understand each of the functions index and also match. So what index is meant to do is to help you pull out information from a range. So for example, I could use index to search this range and produce the information that's in the second column and the third row, for example. So second column, third row, it should be 105. And then it would produce that result. Let's look at how it works here in cell J7. I'm going to type equals index and then left parenthesis. As usual, Excel gives us some hints and some tips. There's a couple of different paths we could take. I'm going to stick with the top example. It's looking for an array, which is basically a range. So just like in my earlier example, I'm going to click and drag to highlight the range of numbers in the spreadsheet. Next, Excel is expecting a comma and then the row number, comma, column number. So I'll put in my comma. Row number comes first. So let's say I do want to produce that 105. If you remember, my selection started here and continued all the way down to here. So this is row 1. Even though it says 2 here at the left, this is 2 and this is 3. So I'm going to type in the number 3 to indicate the third row and then I'll put my comma. What column is this? Well, it's the second column of what I had selected. So I type 2 and then I should put in a right parenthesis. In many cases, you don't have to put in the right parenthesis and then just tap enter. Notice that it produced the correct number 105. So it worked, and that's what index does for us. It helps us to identify the third row and second column or fifth row and 10th column, and then produces the results. Whatever numbers we put into here, that will determine which row and which column it looks at, and then produces the number or the data that's in that cell. Now, if match, you're looking at that and saying to yourself, well, that has limited use. You might have a point if that's all it did. I wouldn't be too excited about using index. There are many other things you can use it for. But in a minute, I'll show you how you can pair it with match to do an index and match. And that really makes it very useful. Let's first though move on to match here in cell J8. I'll type equals. I'll type in match for my function, followed by a left parenthesis. Next, Excel is looking for a lookup value. In other words, what is Excel gonna look for as a result of this formula? Well, maybe I want it to look for a specific month. Let's say July now. Because July is a word and not a number, I should put that in quotation marks if I want it to work. So July, next, Excel is expecting a comma and then the lookup array. So I'll put in the comma. What is the lookup array? Well, what that means is what is the range in Excel that I want Excel to examine and search for this word, July. In well, the array is here. I'll click and drag to select the month. Next, Excel is expecting a comma, and then look what it does. It's saying what kind of a match are we looking for? Are we looking for a match that is less than this, an exact match, or greater than this? Now when it comes to words, it's kind of confusing to think about less than, greater than, but let's go with exact match. So I'll just put in a 0 that represents exact match. I should put in my right parenthesis and then just tap enter. And it produces the number 7. Now why did it produce the number 7? Well, because I was having Excel search this range starting in a 2 through a 12, looking for the word July. If you count it out, It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. It's the seventh item in the array or range. So that worked. Let's do a second example. Let's say I'm looking for the word software. I could type equals mesh. Left parenthesis. My lookup value is software, comma. The lookup array is this information here, comma. And again, I want an exact match. So 0 and then the right parenthesis. Tap enter. Let's check it to make sure it was accurate. We're looking for software. Software is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It produced the right number. Again, if you're thinking to yourself, that's nice, but this isn't very helpful. Okay, but what if, instead of typing the word software, what if I type the match function to something that changes? For example, DVDs and June. This is an area of the spreadsheet that I expect to change. I expect to type in different months, different categories. And so if I can tie these mesh examples to something that changes, it becomes a little more powerful. Let's take a look at how to do that. So here in my mesh example, number 1, I could delete the word July. And instead of July, I'm just going to click in this blank month. Tap enter. And it gives me an error. It's not applicable. But what if I now put in the word July, tap enter? It produces the same result as before. The number 7. But the nice thing about this is adjustable. So I could put in August, and it changes. I could put in January, and it changes. Same with mesh example. Number 2. Instead of typing the word software in quotation marks, why not simply click here where the product category will be typed? Tap enter on the keyboard. Yes, I get an error. First time when it's blank. But now when I type in the word books, it produces a result. And this is an adjustable result. I can change it to DVDs. And the mesh updates. Okay, so that makes it a little more useful and exciting. These formulas now are tied to something that is a variable. It changes. Now we can put both of these functions together, index and mesh, in one formula to automatically produce the sales of DVDs in the month of January, for example. So let's do that. I'll click here in cell J. 5 type equals index left parenthesis. If you remember, the point of index is to look at an array or a range and then produce results based on the column and row that are specified. So it's first looking for an array. Let's give it that same array that we did before. Just click and drag to select that range. Now Excel is expecting a comma, and then the row number, comma column number. So I'll put in my comma. Now what row number do I put here? Well, I don't know which row number to put. It's going to be a variable. It's going to change based on what has been typed into this cell here. For month. Right, that will determine the row. And I don't know what's going to be typed in that cell. So this is where we use the mesh function. This is using one function within a formula that starts with a different function index. After mesh we put a left parenthesis. It's looking for a lookup value. I don't know what the lookup value is. It's something that changes. But it's going to be a month. So I'll just click here. This is where the month will be typed by the end user. Notice when I clicked there, it didn't put the word January. Here, it put the cell reference J. 4. That's perfect. That's what I want. Comma lookup array. What range is Excel gonna search looking for whatever is typed in this cell? Well, it's this range here. So I click and drag to select only the months. No empty cells above or below. Just the months. I put in my comma. What kind of a mesh is this going to be? It's going to be an exact mesh. So 0. And then my right parenthesis. Now Excel takes me back and reminds me that, yes, I've been using mesh. But this is really an index formula. That's the function that started off this formula. And so it's reminding me, I need to now go in and put in a comma. And then the column number. So here's my comma. For the column number. Again I need to mesh it. I don't know exactly what the column number is going to be, but it's going to be based on what's typed here. in the product category box. That will determine which column I'm interested in. Left parenthesis. Now Excel is looking for a lookup value. I don't know what that's going to be. It's a variable. It will change, but it will be located here. So I click there. J3, comma. What's the lookup array? What will be searched in order to find DVD or books or CD? Well, it's this range here. Comma, what kind of